In this video, I'm going to talk about how I get 200 plus grams of protein per day without even really thinking about it or worrying about it at all. Now, you've probably heard about the importance of protein and how everyone really hypes it up and says it's like difficult to get. But in this video, I'll show you how it's really not as difficult as everyone makes it seem. Alright, so I'll put up on screen my chronometer from the past few days, right? And you can see that I'm getting over 200 grams usually. And the first thing is that you gotta track your protein at least, because a lot of people think that they're not getting enough, when in reality, if they were to just track their protein for a day or two, they would realize they are getting enough. So maybe even before you start worrying about protein, just track it for a few days and see you probably might be getting enough already. So how much protein do you actually need per day? Well, the most common answer is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, that's 150 grams of protein per day. But in reality, the real amount is more like 0.8 grams per pound. So if you weigh 150 pounds, it's actually only 120 grams of protein. I think these are good guidelines for sure, but there's nothing wrong with getting more protein. And also, protein isn't just used for muscle growth, it's used for a lot of other things as well, such as growth hormone production. Having a lot of protein could also help with that as well. I weigh a bit over 130 pounds right now, so the scientifically optimal amount for me should be around 105 grams per day, right? And I'm getting more than double that, so you can just see it's really not that big of a deal. And I'm not saying this is gonna increase my muscle growth or anything. It probably won't do much for it, but at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with it, And people are saying even 1 gram per pound is too much and you should go for 0.8s, right? But I'm getting even way more than that. But the thing is it's first of all just to be safe, which is a bit overkill to be safe, but anyways. And also just so I don't have to think about it at all, and I can put my attention toward more important things like my training and other parts of my diet. Now you might be wondering, why do I get so much protein if I don't really need it? Well, first of all, I'm bulking, right? So my calorie requirement is so large that I just end up getting a ton of protein, right? But then people say if you're bulking, you should actually get a little bit less protein so you have more room for carbs, right? And the thing is there's plenty of room for carbs for me, okay? I'm trying to get 4,000 calories per day, right? 200 grams of protein, that's 800 calories. So there's still plenty of room for carbs. Maybe if you're cutting, it can be more important because you kind of want more energy from carbs, since if you're cutting a lot, you're gonna have lower energy. And if you're just eating a ton of protein with less carbs, then it might not be as good. But for me, I'm still getting enough carbs. Now, I will say though that I do think protein is largely overrated, which sounds kind of hypocritical saying that I get double my body weight in protein per day, but I do think it's overrated because for me, the reason I get so much is also just because of my diet, just the foods I eat, sort of just ends up getting me in this ratio of higher protein, higher fat, and slightly lower carbs. I basically, for the most part, I just eat meat, eggs, fruit, and a few other things, right? And if you just eat a diet with a lot of meat and eggs and stuff like that, then you're easily going to be getting enough protein. Let's talk about protein powder for a second. Now, if you watched my previous video, then you'll know my stance on protein powder, but I think it's overrated as hell, honestly. And it's just super unnecessary. Like I said, if you just eat meats, right, and you track your calories and your protein that day, trust me, you're getting at least 0.8 grams per pound, which is what everyone says is the best, right? Honestly, if you can't get 0.8 grams per pound of body weight of protein per day at minimum, then something's probably wrong with your diet. Unless you're 300 pounds, lean, 10% body fat, or you're cutting on an extreme diet down to 6% or something. Other than those extremes, I mean, for the most part, it's really not that hard, and I don't think you need protein powder at all. But it might make sense if you're cutting super aggressively, because if you're doing that, then you're eating such little calories and you have such little energy, you're gonna want more carbs probably, right? So you might want to go for leaner protein sources and get more protein with less calories, and in that case, protein powders can be useful. But at the same time, just something like chicken breast could have similar ratios. And you still need fat in your diet as well. That's very important, even if you're cutting. I mean, you could use protein powder. If you are, try to get one that is just pure whey protein, no like added crap and artificial sweeteners, but overall, I don't think it's necessary. And like I said, if you really don't think you're getting enough, at least track it for a few days. Try to track it as accurately as you can and eat like how you usually would. And then see, like, are you getting 0.8 grams per pound of body weight at least? Chances are you probably are. And if you're not, then maybe make some changes to your diet, or you can supplement with protein powder if you want. One thing I do to make it really easy is I basically just eat the same thing every day. Now, obviously you don't have to do this at all, of course, but it does kind of make it easier since I don't have to think about it at all, and it's kind of like preset. And also another tip is to prepare your meals beforehand, like the day before or something, and just overall make sure you have everything prepped and ready so that when it comes the day and you're trying to find something to eat, you're not just scrambling for random stuff and then you're gonna have a hard time getting your protein. So basically just eat more meat and eggs. That's where you're gonna get the most high quality protein and also the most bioavailable protein. And also just track your protein as well to make sure you're actually getting enough, because you probably are at the end of the day. And yeah, that's basically it. Don't worry about protein too much, it's pretty overrated. As long as once you're like getting enough, then you can basically just forget about it and focus on more important things in your training. So yeah, that's it for this video. Have a good one.